The trial of Ramesh Sunny Balwani, the former president and COO of Theranos, begins today. He's facing various fraud and conspiracy charges stemming from the failed blood testing company. And this comes after ex-CEO Elizabeth Holmes was found guilty of the same charges in January. Balwani has pleaded not guilty. The White House is searching for a vice chair of the Federal Reserve after Sarah Bloom Raskin withdrew her nomination. This comes after Senator Joe Manchin said that he couldn't support her because of her views on climate change and energy. And the Federal Reserve is set to raise interest rates today for the first time since 2018 in a growing effort to combat soaring inflation. In December, the Fed projected 3 interest rate hikes in 2022, but some economists predict even more similar moves in the near future. So with more on that, let's bring in Greg Robb. He is the economics editor for MarketWatch. Thanks for joining us. So,
good morning.
We knew that there were going to be some hikes coming. The prediction was that there were going to be 3, and they were going to be small to combat inflation. What do we think the plan is now?
It looks like there's going to be steady rate increases this year. It could be up to 7. Rates which are at 0 now could get up to like 125 or 150 by the end of the year. The Fed is going to go pretty rapidly here, and then at some point they'll take a pause and see how things are working. But they feel that they're behind, and they want to get moving now.
So then, what exactly does that mean for, somebody like me who wants to buy a car or people who are looking to buy a house? What kind of difference is that going to make?
I mean, in the short term, there's not too much people will see. This is like a long process. Rates have to get up to maybe 2.5% before they start to bite on the economy. So for now, it looks like, people will notice it. Things, there might be some kind of slowing. The interest rates kind of get into the cracks of the economy. They do impact everybody's lives, but it shouldn't be something that people notice in any kind of dramatic way.
So then the sort of follow-up question to that is, will that be enough to rein in inflation, especially when you consider sort of the geopolitical storm that's happening and the impact that is also having on, the prices at the pump, for example?
Not in the short term. I think this is where the Fed is playing a little bit of a longer game, maybe than they even want to admit. I think this year, the way things are going, it's almost like inflation is going to stay, pretty elevated this year, maybe around 4 or 5%. I think the idea for the Fed now is just, you take moves now, you start going, and by next year, the year after, inflation's back under control.
Can we just talk about the type of inflation that we're seeing? And remember that you're just talking to a regular person. I'm not sort of into economics, but we talk a lot about the price of food and the price of gas, oil. But are we seeing inflation across the board, or is it really just in sort of these key categories that do have an impact on our day-to-day lives?
I think the Fed and economists are a little bit concerned because it is broadening out. It's just not. At first, it looked like it was just related to the pandemic and things like that, and it was kind of narrow. But now we've gotten to this stage where prices are rising in a lot of different places, and wages are rising. People are asking for more wages, and businesses are passing along to customers. And we're getting to this sort of like a sort of mini kind of spiral, and that's what the Fed doesn't want to see.
Can you give me sort of a long-term prediction? Like, say we look past 2022 into 2023. I understand that we're feeling sort of the fallout of the pandemic right now, which is really just starting to wrap up, I think, fingers crossed, but supply chain issues. There's so many factors contributing to where the economy is right now, including what you brought up, which was, a lot of federal money that was given out to help people make it through these hard times. How long do you think until we sort of reach normal times? Will it be, this year or the year after?
That's a good, that's a $64,000 question. Right. It depends. I think the economy is going to feel I think the economy is doing well now. And as the pandemic eases this year, I think there'll be a boost. I think this summer is going to be big for travel and things like that. So, I think it won't take long before I think the economy is such a resilient thing. I don't think it'll take long before we're humming on all, on all cylinders. I think the problem is with inflation is you almost hum too hard. The economy is going too hard. And interest rates will try to get that supply and demand balance in better balance, and that's what we're going to have to see if the Fed can do that without causing a recession or something along those lines that we all don't want to see.
Yeah, totally. Greg, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.